Hey everyone! Welcome to another Stonehearth Desktop Tuesday. Alpha 23 has been a pretty full release. We started with a bunch of AI improvements. We added an appeal system so that your Hearthlings can appreciate all of your decorating efforts. We added a new find item system for more flexibility in decorating. And finally, we added a bunch of prioritized input and output boxes to improve your workshops and the general flow of goods through your town. To close out Alpha 23, let's talk about the release's surprise feature, facial animations, plus actually a bunch of other animation updates. We didn't originally intend facial animations to be a part of Alpha 23 or any near future alpha at all. They're a polished thing, and well, it's a known part of Hearthling culture that Hearthlings lie in bed all night pretending to be asleep while being secretly terrified of existential horrors. Right? About a year ago, artist Mally pointed out that as the game is a community builder and that the motivation for optimization actually comes from the needs of the people in your town, that Hearthlings would actually feel a whole lot more relatable and less like dolls or escapees from a horror game if they had facial expressions. He and artist Allie experimented with a few things via concept art in Photoshop, including ones with some very weird mouths, before community mod Moonsight posted some experiments with just animated eyes. These were adorable and we immediately wanted them, but they depended on the eye's ability to stretch, shrink, and deform themselves on the Hearthling model. Since our animation system was written from scratch, we didn't have technology that would allow one part of an entity to scale while the rest of the entity remained the same. Until months later, when the input and output boxes required scaled-down materials to appear inside of them so that you could see how many of a thing you had at a glance. Engineer Chris added the ability to scale subparts of objects, resulting in tiny offset rocks and logs. Even so, we wanted to focus on find items, appeal, and other art elements for Alpha 23, but artist Mally came in on nights and weekends and basically secretly added our entire facial animation system. I came in one morning and he showed me a combat test and I paused the game and said, "Oh, you added eye color," and he said, "Definitely unpause the game." So yes, now Hearthlings have eyes with colors that close when they sleep and that express happiness, sadness, and anger. From an artist's perspective, this was actually quite a challenge. Eyes can only get bigger and smaller, and each eye can only rotate as a whole because our models are limited for performance reasons to 39 bones, or movable parts. Animating each eye took up the last of the bones, so Mally looked around for other solutions to express further emotion. Earlier in the year, he'd also asked engineer Chris whether the cube emitter, our particle system, could spout whole cubicle models instead of just squares, and at some point we actually got this tech in. Mally used it to augment the facial animations, adding hearts and hashes and blushes to make it appear super clear what a Hearthling's eyes were trying to convey. While he was working nights and weekends and over the holidays in secret, Mally also touched up a bunch of our combat animations. For a while now, he's been bothered by the fact that it can be a bit difficult to tell what's going on in a melee when you're watching it from a camera angle distant enough to allow you to follow the whole battle. So he used the scale technology to make weapons get just a little bit bigger as they swing, so that they pop more. He also tweaked most of the Hearthling animations so that each animation better telegraphs itself as it happens. As you can see in this really simple combat idle example, with the old animations on the left and the new ones on the right, Hearthlings now shift their weight as they move and lean forward on their toes. The effect is more noticeable on the backhand swing animation, where the Hearthling's foot comes up to illustrate where his weight is going. Shield block and dodge have been similarly updated. More dramatic updates appear in the showier attack animations. For example, this forehand swing has been similarly but more dramatically reworked to be easier to read from a distance and from any angle. Same thing with the new two-handed swing. The old parry was a bit hard to read. Maybe it was about jamming your opponent's blade between your sword and your shield, but Mally replaced it with a much cleaner block and riposte. The most dramatic improvement has probably been to the heal animation, which engineer Yang did as a stopgap when we first introduced the cleric. For a long time we've been frustrated by the fact that it doesn't show who the cleric is healing, so now cleric gestures at their target as the effect goes off. And here it is all put together. As a team, we're keeping our focus to building multiplayer and encounters right now, but since Mally cared enough to jam this in his free time, I'm really glad to get to use this time to share his vision for more expressive Hearthlings with all of you. Before we part, I should also probably mention that we've updated our roadmap and our Trello board. Apologies for the long delay. You can find the new roadmap on the right side of the Stonehearth dev blog. Next week, I'm traveling for work again, so there will be no Desktop Tuesday on January 30th. Desktop Tuesday will return on February 6th. In the meantime, a different member of our team streams our development on Thursdays at 6 p.m. PST on www.twitch.tv/Stonehearth. There will also be a Europe-timed stream on Wednesday, February 7th at 8:30 a.m. PST. I look forward to hearing your opinions on this and on Alpha 23 in general here in the comments or on our forum at discourse.stonehearth.net. See you in 2 weeks.